I'm Myke Shrews,
And I'm Tivis,
and you're listening to
the Munster Cast.
episode 26. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Munster Cast, the podcast where we watch and talk about the Munsters. And if you watch the intro video, I did the little hand thingy. I am Myke Shrews. Here with me, as always, my co-host Tivis. Tivis, how you doing today, my man?
Oh, I am ecstatic after hearing the latest movie news.
The latest movie. And we got to let people know too. I think we're like a week ahead in recording.
A week or two now. Yeah, we're finally getting a backlog back up like we did in the beginning.
Just in case anything happens, we still have an episode or two to drop for you guys. Before we dive into any of that news, let's get the dirty work out of the way. You can find the MUNSTERCAST on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at TheMunsterCast. You can also find us on YouTube at TheMunsterCast, and there you get to see our pretty ugly faces, talk about the same stuff you hear us talk about on any podcast site that you listen to us on. And if you want to email us any questions, concerns, let us know how we're doing, anything that you think would be really cool for us to know, Munster related, your stories, anything like that, you can email us at themunstercast@outlook.com and leave us some likes and stars and all that stuff anywhere you have a listening to us at, I should say, whether it be on YouTube or Apple Podcasts, things like that. So it really does help the show out of that, and leaving like little reviews really does help the show out as well, guys. It gets us out there so more people see us, and more people can fall in love with the Munsters, as we have been doing the last several months now. So more than we had before. So yeah. So what you got for us today, Tivis? What news came out?
Well, this is from Rob Zombie's Instagram. Pat Priest has been cast in the film as some character we don't know.
Nice.
Is she Marilyn? Is she someone new?
Old Marilyn?
Could this finally be an answer to where Marilyn and Eddie are? Is this like a sequel to the series?
And they're older now?
Yeah.
Ooh. See, now before I said it might be a prequel because we haven't had a Marilyn Eddie thing.
I'm wondering if we're going to get like a time jump.
Maybe
see them in the old country and then later on in America.
Right.
California. Mockingbird Heights.
Yeah, definitely. We talk about this now and watch a trailer's going to drop before we get this episode out.
I'll be okay with that. I really want to see this. Yeah. Give me something like, I'm so happy.
Clearly it's going to negate like some of the other Munster stuff. I think this is just going, I honestly think it's a whole original thing for them, but if it's kind of like a continuation or a prequel, either way you look at it, I would say it's just based on the original Munster show with Fred and Yvonne and Al and stuff like that. So yeah, that's awesome, man, to hear that on another one. So I'm assuming Butch is going to be in this film then, because
he has to be. I mean, we've talked about it since day one, but I can't imagine him not.
There's no way, because I know him and Rob Zombie have hung out before and stuff too. So I don't see him not just showing up, even if it's just for like a one shoot or something, you know, just to get him there. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
The other bit of news is my wife got this cool frame for my photo.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, audio listeners.
Well,
I thought it looks neat.
If we're doing something else for non-audio listeners, anyways, and this picture will be up on Instagram too, guys, if you want to check it out. I went to a festival this past weekend, and a shrimp festival, and we were walking around all the tables, and my wife was so annoyed because I found like the one booth with all the like retro toys and all that crap. Well, they had,
naturally you have like radar,
right? So they had a package of Munster birthday napkins from dinnerware, I believe it is, which it's from the 1990s, so it's not like super old or anything like that. They were from designware, sorry, not dinnerware. So they had like a whole Munsters birthday set out there. I've been looking at this stuff like on eBay and shit like that to see like how much it would cost to buy a whole designware set of that stuff. Some people want a lot of them. I paid a couple bucks for those, so it wasn't too bad just to get some birthday napkins that I'm probably going to end up opening and looking at. I'll probably hang one on the wall or something like that. So, yeah.
Next time you have a summer party, break those out for the guests. But yeah, I'm so tempted to buy that grandpa shirt. That's like 100% original, no sparkle.
Which one?
From the NBC store.
Oh yeah,
I got my 50th anniversary.
Yeah, they dropped a new shirt. If you guys want to check that out, I think it's just on NBC.com, correct?
Yeah, from their web store. Yeah. That's where I got my 50th anniversary shirt that I wear and stuff. They got a lot of nice stuff. In
there, they're basically mocking the Twilight
movies. Which
with grandpa. So
I think it's funny because Mike just recently watched them. But getting back to the Munsters, let's get into this first episode.
Yes, let's dive right in.
Lily Star Border, which is misspelled, and I don't know why. I cannot find any rhyme or reason for it. I really can't.
What do
season
you mean?
2
What's misspelled?
Border, Boarder. That's not how you spell border.
Yeah, it is for what the show is about. It is like for a boarding room and shit like that. Yeah.
Oh shit, that is a term I did not know existed.
That's why I was like, wait, what was misspelled?
I thought it was some play on words. I'm like,
no.
Autocorrects tell me it's wrong. I've never seen it like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, season 2, episode 8. Hey, learn something new every day. Aired November 4th, 1965. Written by Doug Tibbles, Norm Liebman, and Ed Haas. Directed by Ezra Stone, who you might remember from the previous week. Sorry about that.
I looked at Ezra Stone's IMDb earlier when I watched the episode because it kept popping up. I was just like, what has he done like that was big? And he's got a nice catalog. I think you mentioned most of the bigger stuff. So yeah. A lot of these people have gone on to do a lot of big things. So guests this episode: Buddy Lewis as Mr. Leonard, Charles Bateman as Chester Skinner, who appears as Mark Tanner in the Mr. X episode of My Three Sons. We'll get into why I'm saying that later. Detective George Peters in the show Manhunt 1959, which he was a main character. So just a couple notable things from him. Then we got Chet Stratton, who is uncredited as Leonard's accomplice, who played Mr. Haggerty in Herman's Rival, and will return twice more, in fact, and also played Barlow in My Three Sons. Again, we'll get into why this is important later. All right. My Three Sons. All right. Anything else before I read the synopsis, man?
Nope.
All right. So we have Lily Star Border, November 4th, 1965, as Tivis already stated. Herman becomes insanely jealous of Chester Skinner, a mysterious boarder whom Lily has brought into the household in yet another one of her schemes to make a little extra cash. I find that like offensive. That
He hasn't
synopsis.
done that often.
Schemes though, like using the word schemes doesn't make. Not for Lily. Maybe
Who
Grandpa
wrote that? Was that the DVD?
No. That was the same site I've been using for all of these. But they wrote schemes. They also wrote Lily has bought into the household, but is brought. I fixed that as I was reading it. So yeah. Anyway,
I take umbrage with that synopsis.
Yeah. So let's dive on into this episode here, man.
All right. So we open with Herman walking up to the house with the logo overlaid over top of him again. Sorry about that.
They heard you.
He just walks right in because they've learned to finally keep the door unlocked for him.
Yeah.
He keeps breaking it, trying to get in. So he walks into the living room where Lily and Marilyn are talking excitedly, and Grandpa just seems to be there listening. He's not taking part in the conversation at all at this point. It was weird. They completely ignore Herman as he tries to get their attention, and he gets to the point where he starts stomping furiously and asking Lily why he didn't let Lily asks, Herman, why didn't you let me know you were at home?
Before that, it's even funnier because he's like, Herman is home. Herman is the breadwinner is home.
I'm here.
I'm here. And then they finally pay attention to him.
So, yeah. Or was it? He asked what's going on, and Lily's like, "Oh, we're gonna rent out the guest room," and he is not having it. He's like, "No, it's head of household. End of discussion. Not happening." They're ignoring him again. They're talking excitedly with each other. Clearly, the ad they already put in the newspaper. And Herman is just furious. So
he takes his anger out
on the fireplace
again. And he destroys that corner piece, man. I don't know what they made that out of, but he like destroyed it. So
it's got to be something, easy to break so he doesn't break his hand.
Right. It looked like maybe like a clay polymer type thing. I don't even know. But yeah, then he's like, well, I'm just gonna storm up to my room.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. And he walks out.
Like, what was he yelling about? He's got a storm in his bedroom or his room.
Yeah. He walks out and then he like,
as he's leaving too, he grabs the doors, which we've not seen these before, but they slide close to close off the living room from the hall, entrance hall.
Yeah, the pocket doors in there just shut off the hall. And then he like opens them back up
and sticks his head in.
But I haven't had Din Din yet.
Yeah, I can't storm off without Din Din. Oh man.
And then we go from that busting right into credits.
Still great. Absolutely loving it. I can't wait to hear what things they do with this song in the movies and this sequel show once we get to it. And also Mockingbird Heights. I'm real curious what the most modern version of it will be.
Stuff like that, it looks like it's going to be more of a period piece, at least with what Sandra Peterson was wearing in her set photo, Elvira, for people who don't know her by name. But yeah.
I'm just curious about the music.
we're talking this show. Let's do this. All right. So we come in and Lily's still going on about finding a person.
Yeah, she's talking
running away, basically.
Marilyn and Grandpa, that we've had 27 people apply. They walk right in and run out. And Grandpa's like, well, clearly we're scaring them off. And you're like, are they finally catching on that they're not normal? And he's like, Lily's like, what do you mean? And he goes, well, it's because of our class. The common man just can't handle it. Like, of course, that's the spin Grandpa has. Why wouldn't it be? Good for him. He's a count. So, it's at that moment they hear a car crash outside and Spot roar. And Lily's like, he's out there chasing cars again. And Grandpa just wishes he would stop eating hubcaps because the neighbors think he's a juvenile delinquent, which continuity. They've offered hubcaps to him as a treat in the past.
Mm.
So they go into the hall to see Spot dragging a license plate like a dog with a stick in its mouth, trying to go into its den. It hits the side of the stairs. It just falls. And I'm like, that's hilarious.
They had the whole freaking bumper too. And it wasn't his mouth either, because we haven't seen his head.
No, it was just his tail. But I was comparing it to like a dog trying to get into a door with a stick in its mouth.
Yeah. And then we get a ring at the doorbell,
before that, Grandpa goes and looks at it. He's like, "Oh, this is the neighbor across the street." Well, he's like, "Well, it's just because of his iron deficiency." So, yeah, the doorbell, as you said, all three of them run to the door. Like, talk about intimidating. And that's when we meet Chester.
Yeah. And he looks just like another one of the guys who would have been one of Marilyn's crushes.
Concubines. And you know what? What? Yeah, I said it. Marilyn looks extremely happy to see him, by the way.
Yeah. And he asks, "Hey, is your room still available?" Yeah, blah, blah, blah. And Marilyn is the one who walks him to his room, and she is like googly eyeing him. She's like, "I'm gonna suck your soul out," because she's a succubus. So,
well, maybe something's up with her. Grandpa, I don't want this to be glossed over. He's impressed with how this guy withstood their class and sophistication that they threw at it.
Yeah. And he definitely does make sure that there's a phone in the room. And they said that they put one in there specifically for the border. And he walks into the room, and it's the first thing he does is he gets on the phone. Mm-hmm. And he calls up a thing. He's like, "Yeah, this will be. It's kind of weird and freaky, and whatever, but it'll be perfect for our operation." Freaking, yeah. And then he opens the door and sees Spot scrolling through the
balcony. And can I say this is an awesome shot of their backyard too? It's like an aerial view down. He's like, he sees that, he shakes it off and just walks back in.
You get a couple of different shots in this episode, which is kind of cool because we never saw outside of the balcony, and we'll see some others later in the same episode here.
What's funny is they mention that this guy lives across the street, but they also say the bedroom's facing the north side of the house, but that's clearly the backyard when he looks down.
Yeah. Or the front. No, it could be the front.
It didn't look like the front yard to me, but maybe.
Yeah.
I'll have to rewatch it. Then we get down to dinner, and Herman's complaining it's been 2 days and he still knows nothing about this guy.
Yeah, he hasn't met Chester at all.
No, he's Marilyn asks him when she's walking him to the bedroom, what he does. He's like, "Oh, I work nights, and my work's a bit confidential."
Yeah.
So, Herman's like, "This guy is sneaky." Marilyn's like, "He's dreamy." Lily thinks he's a gentleman, and Eddie likes that he helps out with his homework. And Herman really hates to hear that. Grandpa calls him jealous that everyone likes Chester. And I was like, yeah, I mean, can you blame him with how you guys treat Herman? Lily comes in telling Herman that her dad is right, which means she's just been listening from the other room.
Right.
And came in to berate Herman just for this. Herman's getting very defensive. He's like, "Look, this guy, it's just sneaky. All right. We should know more about this guy. He's living in our house."
Yeah.
And so they begin giving some compliments. They're like, he's cool, but you're cooler, stuff like that. And this calms Herman down. Yeah. So Grandpa passes.
Well, he gives this like little comment to Lily, kind of like, well, I'm not too good of a man, right? Oh no, you're a much better man. Like there's so many innuendos here too. Like I'm just like, especially the following morning. So
Well,
go
before we
on.
get to that, after Grandpa passes, Herman says that he's liable to storm off again, and Grandpa's like, "Good, I'll eat your dessert." So Herman grabs his dessert bowl, then the giant serving bowl for everyone else, and goes into the kitchen and begins eating. And Lily just looks at him and rolls her eyes.
Like, oh, really, Piggy? Dude, he barely fit through the doorway too. By the way, like I watched him, I was like, holy crap!
So
broad shoulders.
I'm beginning to realize that the kitchen table is breakfast time, and then the other table is when they're eating dinner.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna sneeze.
They don't want to set the entire dinner table for breakfast when everyone's rushing out to go everywhere anyways. Although Herman's the only one who really goes anywhere anymore.
I thought it was going to be one of those sneezes that went away annoyingly. Okay. So
the next morning they're eating breakfast, and Herman's still like, well, maybe I should meet the guy now.
Yeah, well, he apologizes as well.
3 days, Herman. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. Lily's like, no, you can't right now. He's sleeping. He works all night, and then he's going to get up and help me out around the house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, Chester just seems like a super nice dude. Like, I know it's for his job and stuff, but he is actually giving this family a chance more than anyone.
Also, if you've ever seen any of the movies where like some stranger comes into your house and they start helping you, Herman is completely valid in what he's thinking. Okay, let's just say that.
Well, yeah, with how they treat him and stuff, definitely.
Because the person, if you want to take control of the household, or you want to, get your way deeper into the family, you do nice things for them all. So it makes 100%, to make his points valid as to why he's being a dick about it.
He could be a shut-in and hide in his room all day except to eat. And the fact that he's actually getting out and talking with the family and stuff, this is the first time we've had someone actually, get to meet them as people.
Yeah.
And it's nice. And Marilyn is super happy with it herself. Do you think she's into Chester?
Yeah, he thinks she's in the Chester. He makes all these small little innuendos about Lily cheating, or hopefully.
Yeah, I was talking about Marilyn, but yeah. He's like, we need to. He's talking about how he needs to be adult about dealing with Chester, and then he starts to leave and tells Lily, he's like, well, let's not get too adult around here.
Yeah, let's not get too adult.
So as he's leaving, he decides he's gonna start yelling up the stairs.
This is crazy. So he goes, I'm leaving the house.
He's like shouting up there. He's like, here I go. If anyone cares, I'm not gonna be home. You could take advantage of my wife.
Right? You could just take advantage of my wife. I'm like, what does that say about you what you think of your wife? Like,
yeah. But Lily comes out because, of course, the whole house can hear him yelling and will you shut up, calm down, and go to work?
There's a funny part here because Lily drags him outside to the front porch too.
Yeah, but doesn't she do it by his ear too, or something? Something
like that. She starts talking to him about it. Like, what the hell's going on with you? Like, what's wrong with you, bro? And as she's doing it, he's like, you're just jealous. You're just a big jealous mess. And oh no, wait, that's after this part. That's after. Yeah,
that's a little after, because he doesn't go to work right away. He goes and stares through the kitchen window at them.
Yeah.
He's like,
Chester comes down finally for breakfast.
So Lily's like, oh, Chester, would you like some breakfast? He's like, sure, Mrs. Munster. And Herman's like, well, I eat my breakfast. Then
Call him out.
Lily notices him outside at this point.
Yeah.
And she disappears from the room. And then Chester's like, hey, Eddie, I'll walk you to school. And Herman's like, oh, now you're going to take my son.
Yeah.
That's when Lily gets him. And
take my son, call my wife Lily.
I love this interaction that we get between him. It's like, now, Lily, you know me. I'm not one to lose my cool and fly off the handle.
Yeah.
Then jumps up and down screaming, I'll kill him.
It's like, I'll kill him. I was just like, what? That's
this is a great joke for being, 40 something episodes into this show, because he constantly flies off the handle.
But we've also never heard anybody in the show before actually say they'll kill someone.
Oh yeah, that too.
So the fact that it's Herman, I mean, in a way, it's kind of like, some will say it's romantic. Oh, because he wants to defend his wife's honor, but there's no honor to defend at this point because there's nothing happening.
It's just a nice guy.
You also need to respect your wife enough to hopefully know she won't she won't do anything. Although we did just have that episode where they were flirting with each other.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, their 100th anniversary didn't exactly go well.
Oh man.
Their marriage is this season the season of rocky marriage with these two?
I don't even know, man. That's why it ended. The last episode's their divorce.
So Lily gets a call from a news reporter that suspiciously has funeral music playing in the background. We know it's Herman. Yeah. We see it. And so he's like, are you watching? I didn't hear what it is, but this soap opera? And she's like, oh, is it on right now? Are you living this soap opera, Herman?
You're not.
It's not me.
Dude, it's not me. It's some stranger in his normal voice at that point.
And he realizes he screwed up, switches back to his the voice he was using, and just hangs up.
Yeah.
But back at home, Herman begins dragging Grandpa down the hallway by his wrist. And Grandpa stops and asks him why they're being sneaky outside Chester's room. And Herman's like, well, he just took Lily to the store. And if that man is stealing my wife, then I deserve to know that he's a man of principle.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically, if he's going to replace me, I want to know he's worthy. And Grandpa just rolls his eyes at this point.
Still lets him in the room because Grandpa unlocks the door for him.
Well, Grandpa can't help himself. He likes a bit of mischief. And also, he doesn't want Herman busting the door down and letting Chester know, because he also likes Chester, much like Charlie, more than Herman. Grandpa like uses his finger too. He's like, let me do it.
Yeah, their keyhole is just the size of Grandpa's finger. It's just a circular, hole.
I feel like they got those custom made with his suggestion so that he could get around the house. So they go in, they find this table full of stuff. It's got a camera and a gun that I can see right off the bat. And Herman picks it up. Herman's like, oh, that's probably a cigarette lighter. And Herman accidentally fires it into a vase behind him. He's, no, I don't think it is. They also comment on a map that's laying there, and they're like, well, clearly this guy's on the wrong side of law. And Grandpa's like, yeah, probably. And he like picks the gun up and points it at Herman. And Herman's like, no.
Yeah, I like that Fred like push away. I'm sure, I don't know if that was part of the thing or it was just Fred being like, yeah, don't point shit at me.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. But what Grandpa doesn't realize is he knocks off a police badge onto the floor that no one sees.
Period. Because, they suck at looking at stuff.
But they don't suck with doing dangerous shit with dangerous items. And Al Lewis cutting a piece of bread towards his body. Herman is trying to figure out what Chester is up to by looking through the binoculars pointed at their neighbor's house.
Yeah.
They see right into the guy's windows, and it's clearly the mob in there. They've got like a bunch of fur suits and running like a factory in this guy's house. So they're like, oh, Chester's going to steal the furs from Mr. Leonard. And at that point, Lily comes in. He's, Herman, are you watching, our neighbor doing deep knee bends again?
Yeah, I was like, so
Herman.
That's a thing?
Herman.
A little peeping Tom?
Dude. Hey, you have the nerve to get mad at Lily. So
I think there was let's start it, like the nerve of getting mad at Lily for inviting a guy to be in your house. I feel is completely different than just looking out the
I'm just
window.
saying he's been jealous a lot lately, and he's been spying on their neighbors. The women around town. That's creepy, dude. Real creepy.
Oh man, come on! I'm sure Grandpa's done worse.
Yeah, well, he's thinking blood.
How are we getting a show of a wholesome family, bro? And like so many things.
It's taking a turn this season.
I've taken a turn this season. Grandpa was a freaking serial killer in the first one. What are you talking about?
He was the only one out, though. So Eddie runs in saying Spot ate an Italian dude's car in front of the house, and he's super mad about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
They all like bombard their Chester's room though. Like
they all just go
not thinking about anything. Like Eddie runs up in there and jumps on the bed. I'm like, what the hell?
I will say this goes nowhere other than trying to reinforce that the guy across the street is part of the mob.
Right.
So Lily tells him to go tell Spot if he keeps eating cars, they're gonna rub his nose into with the transmission. So Herman, Eddie, forget about that.
Yeah.
Why don't you take your mom and cousin and go see a movie? Get out of here. And Lily's like, what is wrong with you? Herman begins telling her that, hey, this guy isn't what he seems. You should go somewhere safe. And Lily just storms off saying she's going shopping. So that's clearly her calm, relaxing vice.
Her coping.
Yeah, which Herman doesn't care. It gets her out of the house.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Herman calls Mr. Leonard and lets him know, hey, there's a guy that's been living with us that's going to rob you. Like, oh, thank you for letting us know. He hangs up. He's like, boys, there's a cop across the road. Get out of here. So they begin packing up all their illegal operation, Benny Hill style.
Well, I'm curious, what is the illegal operation going on? Like,
I think they're selling like
or fake fur.
Fake fur, yeah.
But is that really
counterfeit?
Where I guess it depends on the extremity of it. Like, what they don't really describe exactly what crime is necessarily being taken place, other than these people just are selling fur coats. Like
black market, maybe. I don't know.
It'd be fake, or if it's stolen property, then I could understand it.
Could
but
be.
We don't get any of that. So then they do their rushing scene and they these guys are all dumbasses. They run into each other and knock their stuff all over.
Yeah, it was Benny Hill style, like straight up. Then we get Grandpa and Herman talking at the house, and Grandpa has the perfect plan because his plans are never overly complicated and dumb. What was his plan, Myke?
So Grandpa has a deck of cards and he has a string tied to one specific card. His plan is to keep that card out far enough to where that is the card that Chester will grab. So Chester would grab, in theory, the card. It would pull the string would turn on a blowtorch, which would then burn another string, which would then drop an axe onto another string, which is holding an anvil, and the anvil in the showing us, it hits Herman on the head, and he's like, "What was?"
Which is a great as Grandpa's going over this explanation. He's like, it's going to burn the rope, which swings the battle axe. And Herman's, what axe? He's the one above you, which is when the anvil comes into play. What anvil? Smash.
Smashes him. And it's interesting too, because we get this anvil smashing on Herman's head here, but then the next episode that we are going to talk about, I wonder if both of these things that happen is what is the cause for the next episode. So
I just love Herman's deadpan look of no reaction to getting hit.
So then Grandpa's like, well, you're in the wrong spot, idiot. The anvil's supposed to hit the couch, which is going to throw him up in the air. And then he'll fall down into the dungeon where you'll be waiting. I'm just like, what? Why is this so like
overly complicated?
So much like it's so overcomplicated. And I'm just like, just ask him to go down to the basement. He seems like a guy who would be like, oh yeah, I'll go clean your beakers, Mr. Grandpa. So then we get Chester.
They have to reset the trap first off, because they just burned all those ropes and stuff.
Magic man. He just
Grandpa greets Chester at the door. He's like, hey, let's sit down on the couch.
But the weird thing is Chester greeted Grandpa as Grandpa.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, why is he calling him Grandpa? Why not just call him, hey, Sam, or Mr. Munster, or Mr. Dracula, since we don't like to say the word Dracula in the show, apparently. So
what do you mean? We've had like 5 episodes where they're saying it.
Yeah, but they don't call him Mr. Dracula. They just say we're Draculas. Which means that all vampires are Draculas? Which does that mean all vampires are related?
I think they're the Dracula lineage.
Need some explaining, Mr. Mosier over there, Bob Mosier, and then
not Austin. Although if you want to try to explain it, Austin, you can as well. That's fine.
So Grandpa has him sit down on the couch, on the far end of the couch, and then to pick a card, and the trap goes off perfectly. He so much so where it even has the dummy flying in the air down the trap door.
As Herman's holding him, my only thought is Chester's probably dead.
Yeah. If Herman wouldn't have caught him, he would have killed Chester.
So then we get a shot of Grandpa and Herman laughing above the trap door, staring downwards menacingly.
Was a freaky shot, man.
This is the most terrifying Herman has ever looked. And they close it. We just get a close up of of Chester.
Yeah.
Tied up with a gag in his mouth. Like
and the anvil
furious.
Holding him down too.
What's that? Yeah.
The anvil's between his legs, like holding the chains down or something. And he is pissed.
They go to call the police, but at that moment, the phone rings.
Yeah.
And Herman answers it. Yeah? No, you got the wrong number. What is it? Oh, they're looking for a Lieutenant Skinner. Like, Lieutenant Skinner? That sounds familiar.
Even more Simpsons references. No.
Yeah. So they're thinking, like, Lieutenant. Air Force? No. Well, so that's a lieutenant. The police.
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
And they just get like the looks on their face, and they don't do anything. Like,
no, they're pacing until Lily comes home and can fix it for them.
And Herman looks pissed off at Grandpa.
Well, do you remember what he tells him? He's like, Lily, Grandpa's got something to tell you. And Grandpa's like, not for $1 million.
Yeah, and then Herman tells Lily, yeah, we have a police officer chained up downstairs in the dungeon.
What is wrong with you?
She's like, wait, what? It turns out he wasn't a mobster, he was a police officer.
So she rushes.
If he has ever shown us anything, they could be both in the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. She rushes down to untie Chester, and she's like, I got to explain to him why you're an idiot.
And they do another shot too of from down the stairs up at Herman again. I think they did this because this shot looks very menacing. Like it's a really cool shot, and I enjoyed that we got some different. As I was saying previously, we have some different shots, and that shot and the one of him and Grandpa at the top of the stairs too is very menacing. Him and Grandpa talking at the top of the stairs though doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you think about how the stairs curve. So the dude tied to the table is definitely not seeing them. I guess maybe it's just them talking down to the stairs so that he hears them. I guess I don't know. But, it's a very menacing shot, especially because they do the smoke and stuff from there, which is
awesome.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, then Lily goes down, and then we cut again to them on the couch.
Yeah, Chester's head is all bandaged up,
and he's jumpy as shit.
He's like one lump or two.
Huh. He just freaks out. He's taking it or something.
This poor guy has been so nice to them for 10 days or so.
Probably something like that.
Oh, it's terrible. But yeah, she's like, I'm so sorry. You don't understand. Herman is so stupid.
Yeah.
He's like, it's fine, but you don't understand how bad this is. Like, we've been working on this for so long. And at that moment, Herman comes in with Eddie and Grandpa, who he's carrying Mr. Leonard and his henchman.
Yeah.
Chester's like, what? How? He's like, well, you remember that bumper that Spot stole days ago? I told him to get the scent and chase him down. They managed to catch him halfway down the road. That's a terrifying image. So just like, well, it's too bad you couldn't have got the other two. He's like, oh, why don't you step outside with me? Spot has it covered. So Spot, you just see its tail through the front window as he's sitting in the passenger seat with the two guys still in the car, holding them in place.
And I love that we get more of Spot recently. Like there's a lot more Spot is doing something in the episode rather than just sitting under the stairs and blowing fire. So that's really cool.
During all this where, it's like Chester's talking to Herman and stuff, there's what sounds like a different version of the theme that starts playing. And I loved that. It's like Herman's superhero theme thing. So Chester cuffs him, and that's how the episode ends. And this was a real fun episode.
Yeah, I enjoyed this episode. Honestly, before we even dive into the other one, I enjoyed it better than the other one. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So some trivia I have, Charles Bateman, who played Chester, appeared as Pat Priest's romantic interest in Death Valley Days, the Wild West's biggest train holdup that released the same year as this episode.
Okay.
So those two are familiar with each other by this point.
Okay.
What?
No. Go on.
No, that's it.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, it's just those two work together in a film.
Okay. Anything else then?
Nope.
Does he have any relation to Jason Bateman by chance?
I'll tell you in a second.
I'm just curious.
I don't think so, but you never know.
Okay. No problem. Nope. His father's Kent Bateman. All right. It's problem solved. I was just curious because sometimes you never know. Sometimes it's a stage name, sometimes it's a real name, and family lineage follows through in Hollywood because nepotism and all that.
He's another one who is mostly known for westerns as well. So.
Yeah.
He's also been in the Green Hornet, which
the old serials and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are some good ones. We should do some of those.
I'm down for that. As long as we can avoid the movie.
All right, my man. So anything else for this episode? Final thoughts on it? I think we both.
Yeah, it was just a real fun episode.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. It was good. Like I said, I like seeing some of the different camera angles. Let's keep going with some of those as we move forward through the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And some more spot stuff, because we're starting to get a bigger spot as as the episodes go along. So yeah. All right. Let's dive into episode 9 then, man.
All right. Titled Doe Munster, season 2, episode 9, aired November 11th, 1965. Written by Richard Baer, who last time we saw him was Eddie's nickname. So that's how long it's been. Of course, Norm Liebman and Ed Haas were involved. Directed by Earl Bellamy, which this is the last episode he will direct of the show, but we will see him again.
Okay.
Yes, we have Frank Maxwell as the desk sergeant, who played Coach Roger Denman in All-Star Munster. We have Willis Bauke as the judge, who will return in a future episode. Olin Soul as the bailiff. Now, this person has a very interesting career. He was the newscaster in Batman. He voiced Batman, Bruce Wayne, Alfred, and the Joker in the Batman Superman Hour from 1968 to 1969. He voiced Batman in Sesame Street. He was the voice of Batman in Scooby-Doo. Both, Meet Batman and the new Scooby-Doo movies. He was also Batman in Super Friends and most of the sequels that followed.
So was he the original Batman?
I don't know if this
voice and everything before.
I don't know if these predate the serials or not.
Okay.
But in the Super Friends show that, I'm sorry, it's not Super Friends, Super Powers show where he didn't voice Batman. He was Martin Stein, who anyone who watched, the recently canceled Legends of Tomorrow knows is half of Firestorm.
Mm-hmm.
So I could not pass up the chance to mention all of the, how central to DC that guy is. So next we have Peter Dawson as the second workman, Barry O'Hara as the first workman, Joe Quinn as the police officer, Michael Blake as the first child, which Michael Blake goes on to be a makeup artist for The Munsters' Revenge. He worked in Happy Days, Star Trek VI, Independence Day, Spider-Man 3, X-Men First Class, and so many others. Like, this guy went on to do so many things. So it's cool to see him like this young. Mm-hmm. And finally, we have Monica Rush as the second child, and this is the only credit she has on IMDb.
Okay.
But who knows? Maybe Herman Munster's getup inspired this kid to go on to do all of these awesome, movie visual makeup and stuff.
I just looked, and his the bailiff, he does not predate the Batman from the serials.
I didn't think so.
And I love that you're the one that has to do the names because you suck at names.
I do so bad.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, my man. So we are on season 2, episode 9, Doe Munster, November 11th, 1965, as Tivis stated. 300-pound safe drops on Herman's head, causing him to develop amnesia. In order to get him released into her custody, Lily petitions the court to adopt Herman as her son. Dun, dun, dum. Yeah, I said dumb right there.
I think I have opposite feelings of you on this episode, but let's get into it. Lily walks into the living room as Grandpa is reading the Vault Street Journal and asks him how the market's going. And he's like, it's not great. The funeral businesses are just in the toilet, and the government's even threatening one of them. So, all of his stocks are clearly not going anywhere. Eddie enters asking about Herman, and Lily's and Marilyn are working on what is clearly a bust of Herman in clay. Like, did you notice that? It is clearly his face. I thought that would come into play later. We never see it again. So Marilyn's like, well, Eddie, why do you care? And Lily's like, because he's a great father and yada, 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 all these honorable reasons. And Eddie's like, yeah, also, he promised me a new kite. Cut to downtown where Herman is confused. Right. And we see some workers lifting a safe to a second-story window. Mm-hmm. And you could just tell what's going to happen, even if you didn't hear Mike's synopsis. Herman walks underneath as the rope snaps, and it lands on his head. The workers freak out. Like, dude, stay there. We're going to call you an ambulance. He's like, why? Because your head just got flattened. It's like, huh? Nah, that's fine. No. You're clearly something wrong with you. He's like, I've never felt better. Well, you won't be so confident when you look in a mirror.
Yeah.
And Herman, that was rude.
And they're like, we should get his name before he croaks over somewhere.
Yeah. Like, what's your name? I don't know. And like, well, he's clearly gotten hit in the head harder than we thought. And then
I think the anvil and this back to back.
Yeah, a little bit of the
it loosened the brain up. Why didn't Grandpa just
Fred Flintstone?
Why doesn't Grandpa just cut him open and try and read? I don't know. Jumpstart the brain. Anyways,
because he's lazy and he enjoys. But the important bit is I did notice an overlay.
Yeah. All right. So after that, we go to credits, and then we come back and we're at the house in the living room, and they're all wondering, where is Herman? Like,
Lily is pacing.
Lily's pacing. Eddie's, I think, just worried about his kite.
Yeah. Grandpa actually scolds him. He's like, stop worrying about your stupid kite and start worrying about your stupid father, which it's like every now and then, you get a hint that Grandpa actually cares about Herman. He just likes to bust his chops.
Yeah. Well, Herman's his guinea pig. He needs
oh, yeah, there's that.
Stay around. Otherwise,
meanwhile, the Raven comes out. He's like, it's 8:30 and the big lunk ain't home. Like, oh, Grandpa's my show's on. Oh crap, I already forgot what it's called. My Three Sons, which is why I mentioned it earlier. So he goes to turn it on. There's a breaking news bulletin which interrupts. We have an amnesia victim.
Which, did they do this on TV? Would they just be like, hey, so we have this guy.
I don't know if they would do it outside of the news, but he's like, if anyone has him, come claim him. Lily bursts into tears, and Grandpa's like, relax, we know he's fine. So we'll go get him, after my show's done. And Lily like grabs his arm and is like, no.
We're going now.
So
Grandpa,
at the police station, they get a phone call from two researchers at the local university, one of which thinks he's an alien, and the other one a missing link to what they don't know. Which continuity.
I love that. I love that we got another missing link thing. Herman has to be the missing link for humanity. I'm telling you, man. Like, you think about it too. All the, he's just an assembled human being. He's a manufactured being, And that's the missing link. We all just need to die so manufactured humans can come back.
Grandpa and Lily arrive at the police station. And they're like reading the door, which says missing persons. And they're looking around like confused, like, is this the right spot? I don't know. And the cops are like, what the heck are those?
They're green.
Yeah. So they're like, can we help you? And they're like, yeah, where's your lost and found?
Yeah.
Like,
claim my husband, we'd like to take him back. But why?
Yeah. Why?
Why would you want to do that?
It's the superior is like, shut up and go get him.
Yeah.
So the cop tells him, he's like, hey, be patient. He'll slowly regain his memories. Don't rush him. You may damage him, mentally.
Yeah.
And Lily's like, well, how did this happen? And the cop just deadpan. He got hit on the head with a 300-pound safe. And Lily's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So John
before I don't.
Yeah. So John Doe comes in and he's all smiles. He sees, everyone. He's saying hi to each and every one of them. And it's like, John, do you know these people? No, I've never seen them in my life. But I think I'd remember a cutie like that.
Yeah. Like Mrs. Munster.
So the cop's like, unfortunately, we can't release him. You go ahead and take him back to the back. And as he's leaving, he's saying goodbye to everyone. Herman is nicer in this than any episode we have ever seen him.
Yeah.
And that's saying something because he's such a good guy.
They really try to make him more of a child in this one too, I think, than any of the others previously.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I understand why as the episode progresses, but I'm just like, really, guys? But the thing is, like, they were not allowed to call him Herman because it could like put him into shock too.
Yeah.
They constantly are calling him John, but they take him back, and the police officers are like, well, what can we do? We just want to take him home. And they're like, oh, well, you can get a court order. Like you can have the judge sign him into your custody.
So when you heard this, were you expecting what we got to come next? Because I was not.
No.
Yeah. So cut to the courthouse.
Like that, it wouldn't happen.
Cut to the courthouse where it's Lily's turn. They walk up and they're like, well, John, can you come up here too? He's reading comics with the kids. And I'll pass it off to you after this. I just want to mention this because it was such a nice scene. They're like, oh, he's got to go. Let's give him back his comics. And John's like, no. It's all right. You keep him. And the kids are super happy about this.
I'm not referring to him as John, so stop it.
Oh, no, I'm referring to him to John because this is they're separate people.
Different personalities.
Yeah, this just shows an example of how he continues to be the best of us, most of the time. So I begin the court case, Myke.
So they go up, and the judge is like, "Is this the kid?" Like, and the bailiff is like, kind of like, "Well, sort of yes and sort of no, like kind of both." Like it's in the. And the judge is just like, are you sure you want to adopt him? Kind of like looking around. Like,
wait a minute. This is an adoption case?
And Grandpa says something good. I like this line that Grandpa gives. He says, older children need love just as much as younger ones too. Which is a great thing because there's a lot of kids out in adoption. I'm sure even back then, they're just like they age out. They basically grow up in foster care and stuff like that because of people not wanting older kids because they think it's more problematic and stuff like that, unfortunately. And I understand where it's warranted too sometimes, but you can't just put that on every kid just because they're older. Anyway,
and I kind of feel like this was the point of this episode, this scene right here.
Yeah. That's what I gathered. Like that's where I wrote like most of my note thing from.
Yeah,
it's mainly that line too. is like, adoption is like one of the big things in this episode, which is awesome that they do it. But I also don't like the things that the judge says after like everything is cleared up, where he's like, oh yeah, well, here's the an addendum or whatever. So if you don't like him, you can return him. I'm like,
I'll try to enlist him in the army.
Yeah.
Which Herman's already a part of. But during the case, the judge is like, did you even look at any of the other children?
Yeah.
Like, I took one look at him and I couldn't live a day without him. And John thanks his new mom, which is weird. That's the first of a weird thing going on here.
Oh, yeah.
This episode gets weirder.
Oh, yeah.
The judge then asks John if he wants to go live with them. And can I get my own television? And Lily's like, yeah, of course. John's like, we have a deal. The judge. So the judge is like, am I on candid camera? Or
like, is this candid camera or what the hell is going on? But yeah, that's when he says the whole military line, if you don't like him, we'll put him in the military. And then we go to Herman and Eddie playing catch with the football. Jean-Luc Eddie. Which I actually found is really cool about this episode is we actually, because of what they do with Herman as John, is Eddie's actually getting to spend quality time with his father.
Yeah.
Which, is
his brother father,
his uncle grandpa.
So I have a question, and I'll probably forget it if we keep going. So I'm going to ask it here.
Okay.
Once he gets his memories back, does that mean Herman is still legally Lily's son from now on?
Legally, I would think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I mean, not to get weird, but that has happened in real life where people, let's move forward. There's people in Hollywood that have done that, by the way.
Has there been anyone who's adopted their husband, though?
There's people who have adopted people and then married them later.
Well, I'm saying this order.
I don't know. I doubt it.
Yeah. Well, so they're playing football.
Mm-hmm.
And
dude, maybe I should get my wife to adopt me. That way, if we ever get divorced, I'm still her responsibility. By the way, baby, if you're listening, I love you.
So Eddie calls John his brother, and Grandpa finds this whole thing disgusting.
Yeah.
John asks his brother if he could try kicking the ball, to which it explodes.
It's even worse because when John first, damn it, now you got me saying it. When
they're separate people.
When John, we'll just go with John. Fine. When John first met Lily, he thought she was like, a fox, foxy mama.
Those comments come back up.
She's a MILF to Herman.
Yeah. Oh, I thought when he got to kick this football, though, we were going to get that recycled footage again of it just flying off in the distance.
I honestly thought the same thing too. So
I didn't expect it to explode.
Yeah, they didn't do that. They just exploded the football. And then Eddie kind of looked like upset at first, but then it like gets cut from like that to Lily
coming out
with a kite, a giant ass fucking box with a kite.
Yeah, Lily, both Eddie and John are like, "Hey, Mom," and she goes, "Eddie, here's your new kite." And John's like, "Well, did you get me one?"
Yeah.
And Lily's like, "No." John's like, "I can't help but feel like you're playing favorites because he's your son and I'm not."
He's really yours and I'm not. Yeah. Which is another good thing to bring up because these things happen with adoption things. Like, these are how kids feel. And I'm glad that they didn't just like make a huge mockery of it, even though he's, an adult, but still like I enjoyed some of these things that they put here. As somebody who's taken like adoption classes and stuff like that and gone through this process and stuff. So, well, not the process of adopting my husband, but
Marilyn's or Lily's like, you just have to share with Eddie.
Mhm.
And Marilyn expresses sadness that didn't work. And Grandpa's like, I think it's fake.
Yeah.
So at dinner that night, John and Eddie race to finish their milk. And Lily calls it a tie. John claiming that she's taking Eddie's side again. They then skip off to play, causing a painting to fall because Herman is literally skipping.
And then they went to skip off to go and extend the line on the kite.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah, because they wanted to fly higher or something.
Yeah, they wanted to go further and higher.
I don't know kite physics, so I just know windy, they stay up. Better than those planes that come back and attack you. So Marilyn's like, well, if getting hit in the head caused the amnesia. Well, first of all, Lily mentions that it's been 10 days and there's been no sign of him remembering. And then Marilyn's like, well, if getting hit caused it, maybe getting hit again will cure it like it does in the movies. Grandpa jumps on this idea. He's like, I'll go get my sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Lily's like, no.
We're not going to do that. Like,
absolutely not.
And I love how they added, like it happens in the movies. Like even back then, we were quoting things like, "Oh, these things happen in movies. We could do these in real life, right?" Like,
yeah, worth a try.
I like that. And then we start hearing Eddie and
John fighting,
arguing and stuff. And this is where I was like, "Oh no, Herman's gonna kill his kid!" Like. You little brat, and knock him out because he does push him too. He pushes.
We don't see it, but
yeah, we do.
Do we?
Yeah,
I didn't think we did. I must have looked away.
It was as the Lily and Grandpa were walking down the stairs. Herman like pushes Eddie like off of him that way, and Grandpa's like, "What's wrong with you, you big ass bully?" Minus the ass, but
yeah. John's like, that's a lie. And then another argument breaks out between them. They're fighting over the length of the kite. Eddie wants to extend it. John thinks it's fine as is.
Yeah.
So they're like,
they added the extension. They just are arguing over if it's too long or not. That's what.
Yeah. So Lily is like had enough of this and tells them both to go take a nap.
Yeah.
Eddie runs off. John, before leaving, is like, "What happened to your husband?" And this is a sad scene right here.
Yeah. Well, before that, though, he does say, well, I don't have to take a nap. I'm 150 years old.
Well, that's after this.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. So she's like, well, he's gone now, but we hope one day he'll return. And, John gets all sad. He's like, man, I really wanted a pop or a papa.
Yeah.
So then he flirts with Lily by telling her if he doesn't come back, she'll have no trouble finding a new husband. Then he calls her mommy and skips off to go watch TV.
Like I said,
because she allowed him to go watch something before napping.
Like I said, that's his MILF.
So Grandpa then says he has an idea for how to solve this. And Lily's like, is there a risk? And he's like, only to myself. Which should have been a clue for what is about to happen.
Oh yeah. And it starts getting weirder here. So
cut to Lily getting all dolled up with Marilyn. She's like, we're gonna make John jealous to jog his memories because Herman's such a jealous SOB. And I got a gentleman caller coming. She's like, I can't believe you're gonna do this. She's like, oh, don't worry. It's gonna be Grandpa.
Yeah. And then yeah. I don't know how to start it.
Yeah. This is where Lily goes in and tells Eddie it's time for his nap, and then John's like,
where
this is it's great that Eddie's 10 and I'm 150. I don't have to nap.
Right.
So, and the only reason he even knows he's 150 is Grandpa mentions it earlier when they were outside.
Yeah, they told him already.
So he is retaining some stuff.
He's retaining what they're telling him, but he doesn't have his memories.
Yeah.
I guess it's hard. I've always wondered how that works if you don't like remember everybody in your life, but you remember all these words and stuff like that with amnesia. Like, I don't understand. I guess it's because it's a different part of the brain that where these like different functions and stuff. Like, you still know how to wipe your ass, but you don't know your mom's name, you know?
Yeah. Well, the brain is so weird. There's that. There's actually quite a few people. The one I know specifically is that soccer player who got beamed in the head. And all of a sudden he's speaking a different language that he never knew before.
That'd be awesome.
Like the brain is so weird. The amount of stuff that it retains that we don't realize is in there that just suddenly comes forward one day.
Yeah.
It's
where we get
it's
multiple
crazy.
Personality disorders from, my man. Like John and Herman.
Yeah.
All right, so then we hear a knock at the door.
Well, before that, we get this weird comment. Okay. Lily's like, "Hey, I want you to meet someone," and John's like, "If I keep my mouth shut, do I get a cookie?" What does that mean?
I mean, do you want me to answer it, or do you just want me to not say anything?
There could be different.
Herman wants
different responses,
baby.
But yeah, so then we get the knock and she goes to answer it, and we get Al Lewis in I don't even know how to describe this.
He's in whiteface.
He's like,
he's a mime almost.
But with the clothes, how would you describe those? I'm thinking like Middle Eastern prince type thing, like Aladdin.
Yeah, kind of like a Aladdin or like a pirate almost, something like that.
Yeah, he's supposed to look like someone, and she's like, "You look like someone else." He's like, the pills are getting old."
Yeah. And then this way, I can't do this one. It's so bad because she's one. Now her son wants to bang her, and now her dad is pretending to want to bang her. I just can't do this episode.
Well, remember
don't ask me about a cookie when you know my mind is gonna go there, man. Come on.
Remember that episode where Grandpa pretended to be Herman's date and that got real weird?
Oh, yeah. And he wanted to be a horse, too. You remember that? And have his son-in-law ride him? Yeah.
So they enter the living room where John is continuing to watch cartoons. Lily begins rubbing Grandpa's chest, and they tell John they are madly in love. John wants to celebrate with cheese dip and pretzels. Lily is not happy by this reaction. Grandpa begins flirting hardcore with Lily. It's getting creepier.
He smells her freaking hair and everything, bro. Like, he gets really close to her. Like, their lips come like, super close to kissing and everything. I'm just like, what is going on? And he pulls her closer to her, and he does these like weird dance things. Like, I'm just like,
And John's reaction, if they don't want pretzels, how about pink lemonade? And Lily's getting really frustrated that they're doing this and it's not happening. And Grandpa again flirts again with Lily, trying to look around Grandpa to see Herman's reaction. Well, Herman is just playing with Grandpa's whip. We forgot to mention he came in with a whip. Like a lion tamer. Maybe he's a lion tamer.
Yeah.
So I lost my place in my notes. This is such a long paragraph. Grandpa then tells Herman to knock it off. He's about to propose. Lily then tells John that she's going to have to give up on Herman ever coming back. When no reaction is given, Grandpa asks her to say it again. Say his name again. And I think they're both feeling really uncomfortable at this point because their face on Al Lewis's face, his facial expression is like, please, for the love of God, remember something. I can't do this.
And I have another wife I have to bury. That's my daughter.
So he gets fed up with Lily saying it repeatedly and just screams it into John's ear.
Yeah.
And nothing works as John continues to just play with the whip. So,
and this is where Marilyn then runs into the room.
Yeah.
He was like, bro, like Eddie's like, you know, he's on the roof.
Yeah. He climbed out the window. Yeah. And John's like, oh, he gets to do all the fun stuff. And Lily runs off screaming.
Yeah.
Well, John skips after playing with the
and this is, I really like this scene here. One, because we start to normalize some of this. Well, not normalize the stuff, but like get back to
normalize what stuff now?
We get back to reality a little bit here, and Herman is happy. He's smiling. He's doing the fun time.
John is happy and smiling.
And then he looks up, and you can see the transformation in his eyes from John to Herman.
Yeah.
Within his eyes, and he's just like, Eddie, what the hell are you doing? Like, get down here. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, seeing his son in danger brings back Herman.
Yeah. Which means he's a better father than he is a husband.
Yeah. Which, you know, good, I guess. If the marriage fails, you should still be good father.
I guess.
That's my takeaway, you know. But so does Eddie fall or something? I forget how he gets on the ground.
Eddie falls, falls down. The wind like pushes him and stuff because it is windy. They showed that the wind is actually pretty blowing with the trees and stuff in the background. And Eddie falls, and Herman runs over and catches him. Which is surprising that Herman ran that fast over there because you usually don't see Herman moving that fast.
Well, we have seen him like flash run before.
But he was on some type of drug from Grandpa.
No, that was Eddie.
Herman did it too with drugs.
Herman just does it.
Really? No.
Yeah. So he gets over there. He catches Eddie. He grounds him and spanks him. Then he yells at Marilyn not to be outside without her sweater. Then he rounds on Grandpa saying, what is with that ridiculous outfit? Then he looks at Lily and he's like, you look especially wonderful today.
Yeah.
Then he sees the whip on the ground, and I worry that this is going to go somewhere else. But then he's like, what is this? And just throws it.
It's like, what was it? Was Eddie playing with like an older child? And they go, yes, he was. Because clearly he doesn't remember anything that happened when he was John. So it'd be kind of cool if this alternate personality sprung back up again later.
I don't know if it would. So at the breakfast table, he's just enjoying being around his family. Obviously, they filled him in on what happened. And Marilyn's like, well, what jogged your memory? And he has to think about it for a minute. You see, he's like, he pauses. He's like, family love and devotion is thicker than amnesia.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but it's a sweet sentiment.
They're good words, but it doesn't really.
Yeah. Lily's like, that's beautiful. And he's like, where's Grandpa? Lily goes, oh, he's in the lab trying to get a new pill to change himself back. So these pills are so old, they're not wearing off. Yeah. At that moment, he comes in. He's Napoleon. So Herman just looks at him. He's like, so how's Marie Antoinette? Oh, that pisses Grandpa off. So that's just how the episode ends.
Yeah. They oh man. This episode.
The extreme length that Grandpa went to try and get Herman back, and Herman's just making fun of him.
This episode. I've clearly expressed throughout this episode how I feel about it. It's weird, man. You have a MILF and then I guess a DILF, a daughter I'd like to.
Wait, what?
From Grandpa.
All right, yeah, yes.
A daughter. So it's like, okay, I'm done. I enjoyed this episode for the stupidity of laughter from me, and I did enjoy the bits of about the adoption stuff like they put in there. Clearly that wasn't their focus, but at least they put that stuff in there to bring some type of awareness to it. This was the 60s they did this, and we still have this issue, unfortunately, in the adoption realm. So
yeah,
ask Shazam, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah. As far as from the 2 episodes, I enjoyed the first episode a lot more. I thought it was more of an entertainment value than the second one. But the second one still has some funny things in it, and if you have my brain, you can make it sound a lot funnier, I guess. But don't freaking ask me about what it meant for her cookie. Come on now.
No. Herman wants a cookie. He's like, if I don't say it, like, what is he trying to say? Like, if I don't say something horrible to this person, do I get a treat?
But they said the word cookie.
Yeah, because who doesn't like a cookie?
I know lots.
I don't know what the euphemism is for cookie. Obviously,
I know lots of guys who don't like cookie.
I enjoy going to the American cookie store and getting a sugar from the mall.
Oh, okay.
So, my thoughts. I enjoyed this one. These were both back-to-back blasts for me because sometimes with my schedule, I'll look at these episodes. I'm like, I got to knock these out real quick. And they end up being fun. But these went by so fast because I was just so immersed in both stories. But especially this one, I felt like it was no time at all with just the absurdity. But also I think there's some of the best acting we've seen in this, especially from Al Lewis, in that just his face alone during that, the pained expression of, please, for the love of God, make it end. And then you get Marilyn didn't have a whole lot to do in the second one, but in the first one with she's clearly just fawning over Chester, and it's never like expressed. I really think between these two, we've saw just great performances from everyone all around. And then we get to this one, and it's so absurd and weird, but also at the same time, we're seeing like the true nature of Herman come out, where he's just a nice person.
Yeah.
It's just, I had fun with it. I enjoyed these two immensely, both of them. How stupid.
What?
Just how dumb the second one is. It's a blast.
Yeah. I really did not see it going to adoption.
Yeah, I was like, oh, so yes, he's my husband. Can you release him into our care? No, you're going to adopt him.
Yeah, it was a weird one. So
it's a good message. It's a good message, but not what I expected.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I got this little bit of trivia for the second episode. So, Grandpa's favorite TV show is My Three Sons, which they don't show it, but it was a very popular sitcom for the time that ran for a number of years. It had recently moved from ABC to CBS. And so that was kind of the network being like, hey, reference to another popular show we're doing, which you see a lot in sitcoms today. Like after Scrubs got moved around and stuff, you hear them mentioning Big Bang and things on that network. So it's an interesting one, but also Butch Patrick had a recurring role on that show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. That's where he is every time there's not an Eddie episode.
Yeah, I had fun this week. I hope our listeners did too. If you're not watching these along with us, these are two I highly recommend giving a watch.
They have some funny parts in them for sure. And some creepy parts for sure. At least the second one did. All right, man. Anything else before we head out of here?
I don't have the next couple episodes up, so let me do that real quick.
I sent them to you.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. Okay, thank you. So, next week we get to watch A Man from Maryland, which sounds like we're going back to finding a date for Maryland. Whatever. We haven't had that in a while. And then Herman's driving test, which confuses me because we know for a fact Herman drives.
Maybe his license expired. He had to redo it.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll see. I haven't watched that one for sure, so I am not sure what it's going on about. All right.
Yeah.
So remember, guys, you can find us on social media at TheMunsterCast, and you can also find us or email us your questions, concerns, topics, anything, Munster stories, anything related to that at TheMunsterCast@outlook.com. And Tivis, how did you and any final words, dude, before we go? For sure. I'm confusing shows now. I like this show a lot. Okay. All right. Well, with that said, guys, we will catch you next time as we take another stroll down 1313 Mockingbird Lane.
The lesson I want you to learn is it doesn't matter what you look like. You can be tall or short, or fat or thin, or ugly, or handsome, like your father. Or you can be black or yellow or white. It doesn't matter. What does matter is the size of your heart and the strength of your character.